Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We're doing something absolutely fascinating today. We're blending the bleeding edge of modern automotive tech with the deepest roots of human thought. I want you to imagine, just for a second, taking a brand new electric vehicle, pulling right up to the ancient academies of the past, and just tossing the keys to some of history's greatest thinkers. How would they react? Would they love it? Hate it? Well, by looking at this incredible modern marvel through the lens of classical philosophy, we can actually uncover a ton about why we make the everyday choices we do right now.
So, let's take a quick jump in time.
We're firing up our mental time machine to ask one beautifully weird question. What if the great philosophers actually drove an electric car? It's a brilliant mental exercise, really. And spoiler alert, out of the 4 brilliant minds we're looking at today, 3 of them wouldn't just appreciate an EV, they would absolutely fall in love with it. And it's all for reasons intimately tied to their specific core worldviews.
Let's start things off with Epicurus and this whole idea of perfect silence.
Now, when you hear the word Epicurean, you probably picture, decadent feasts, massive banquets, just total wild luxury. But actually, scratch that. Historically, Epicurus was after something much, much quieter. His entire philosophy revolved around this concept called Ataraxia. Basically, it's the pursuit of pleasure achieved by completely eliminating disturbance, pain, and stress in the soul. To Epicurus, anything that caused unnecessary friction or annoyance was literally the enemy of a good life. So, applying that to cars. Think about a traditional internal combustion engine. From an Epicurean perspective, a gas car is essentially a machine made of microstresses. It's constantly vibrating, it's loud, and you've got continuous mechanical interruptions like gear shifts. But then you look at an electric motor, it is perfectly silent, it's fluid, it delivers this smooth, linear, uninterrupted power.
And that brings us to another huge concept from Epicurus, catastematic pleasure. Think of this as a stable kind of pleasure entirely free from anxiety spikes or sudden jolts. An EV is practically the ultimate physical manifestation of this exact idea. Epicurus would absolutely adore traveling in a vehicle that just glides in total silence, completely free from mechanical jolts. It would let him peacefully chat with his friends in his famous garden. Really, for him, the EV is the ultimate car of inner peace.
All right, let's shift gears to our second passenger, Diogenes the Cynic. We're talking wild charging.
Diogenes famously lived in a literal barrel on the streets of ancient Athens. He completely despised societal rules, wealth, the whole shebang. He lived strictly by the principle of Autarchy, meaning absolute self-sufficiency and total independence from societal systems. So you kind of have to ask yourself, why on earth would a guy who aggressively rejected society ever embrace a highly complex, modern technological object like an electric car?
Well, it's actually pretty simple when you break it down. For Diogenes, driving a traditional gas car means you are completely tethered to the system. You're relying on global petroleum supply chains, messy geopolitics, and constant trips to the gas station. To him, that is flat-out oil slavery. But an EV? Think about it. If Diogenes could just mount a solar panel right on top of his barrel, he could charge his vehicle using the pure, free energy of the sun. He wouldn't owe a single dime to the system.
It takes the electric vehicle and strips it right down to its ultimate expression of self-reliance. I mean, you can almost picture him right now, sitting next to his solar-powered barrel car, looking incredibly smug as traditional cars line up at a gas station, just shouting, "Look at them, slaves to the price per barrel." For Diogenes, the EV definitely isn't a luxury item. It's the ultimate tool of rebellion.
Moving on to the 18th century, we have Immanuel Kant, the logical choice.
Let's scale things up to the macro level here. Kant is the strict man of duty, cold logic, and pure rationality. The absolute cornerstone of his ethics is the categorical imperative. In simple terms, before you do anything, you have to ask yourself, would the world still function logically if everyone on Earth did exactly what I'm about to do?
As Kant famously put it, act only according to that maxim, whereby you can at the same time will that it should become a universal law. So, how does this 18th century logic apply to your daily commute? Well, Kant wouldn't approach the environmental impact of driving as some emotional plea. No, he'd view it as a strict, cold mathematical equation.
First off, if everyone drives cars that pump toxic gas into crowded cities, the air eventually becomes unbreathable. For Kant, that's a blatant logical contradiction. You are literally destroying the very environment you need to survive. Therefore, the action is immoral. Period. Second, moving around while actively reducing your local impact, that can be safely universalized. And finally, an electric motor's incredible thermodynamic efficiency means it wastes very little heat compared to a piston engine. To Kant, this isn't just good engineering, it is the literal triumph of practical reason. Kant chooses the EV because, logically and morally, it's the only universalizable choice.
Okay, but here comes our dramatic twist. Friedrich Nietzsche, the greatly disappointed.
Right when we think we've got a complete philosophical consensus going, we hit a massive speed bump. Because Nietzsche? He would absolutely hate the electric vehicle. Seriously, everything the other philosophers loved about it, he despises. To him, the silent, perfectly smooth ride of an EV is a weak, too human attempt to anesthetize life and strip away all the danger. He doesn't want peace and quiet, no way. He wants the visceral, brutal, and almost threatening roar of a massive V8 gasoline engine.
And this perfectly aligns with his core concept, the will to power. This is all about embracing raw power, danger, and what he called the untamed Dionysian spirit. A V8 engine roaring to life is aggressive, it's chaotic, it violently demands to be heard and felt. The extreme safety and calculated efficiency of an electric motor would feel to Nietzsche like a total suppression of humanity's rawest, most dominant instincts. He wants the fire, the noise, and the fury.
So, what does this all mean for us? This brings us to the end of our test drive and leaves us with a really important question for you to ponder. Because this explainer isn't just about history, it's about the mindset we carry with us today. When you look at the cars on the road or even the ones sitting in your driveway right now, what's really guiding your preference? Are you seeking the peaceful, stress-free Ataraxia of Epicurus? The fierce, off-the-grid rebellion of Diogenes? The strict universal logic of Kant? Or does the Dionysian roar of Nietzsche's will to power still call out to you? Think about it the next time you turn the key, or, press the start button. Which philosopher is actually driving your choices? Thanks so much for joining me on this incredible journey through the mind, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.